There we go.
Hey everybody, Kate and Cliff here from Strong Machine Adventure Racing. We are your race directors for the Maine Summer Adventure Race 8-hour edition happening this Saturday the 17th at Pineland Farms in New Gloucester, Maine. And we're so excited to see you all this Saturday. Thank you for tuning in to this video. We wanted to just give everybody a bit of an overview of what to expect and some other pre-race planning information so that you all have what you need this week to get ready and show up on race day ready to race. So just as a quick note, we will have a couple of Q&A opportunities. So Wednesday evening, we'll have an online Q&A, and then before the race, a brief Q&A opportunity as well. So if you have any questions from the video, you'll have some opportunity to ask those. But just to get started here, so your race begins at 8 o'clock on Saturday, but registration opens at 6 o'clock at Pineland Farms. So we highly recommend arriving as close as possible to 6, because when you arrive, you'll be able to sign in, get your waivers done, things like that, but also receive your race maps. And as soon as you get your maps, you can start to plan your route and strategy. So we highly recommend getting there as close to 6 as you can, so you have the time that you might need to prepare. At 7:30, we will have a pre-race briefing or really Q&A kind of opportunity, maybe some last minute information, but also an opportunity to ask questions once you've seen the race maps and instructions. And then the race will start at 8 o'clock, and the race will end back at Pineland Farms at 4 o'clock.
Before we jump into that, I can give you a little bit of arrival logistics information. So you can just plug Pineland Farms into your Google Maps, your Waze, whatever you use to
your last opportunity for GPS that day.
That's right. And the race start is going to be right at the Outdoor Center. It's right as you make that right turn into Pineland Farms if you're coming from the south. If you're lost on campus, just look for the Outdoors Center or ask someone. It should be easy to find. You'll see us all.
We'll probably be the only people there at 6 a.m.
Right, waving for you. We'll have volunteers ready to park you right behind the Outdoor Center in the parking lot back there. And there will be plenty of parking, so don't worry about that. Let's see. Are there any specific instructions on that?
I mean, I think just that you'll see when you enter Pineland Farm, there's the first right. So it's like an immediate right. You'll be taking that, and then we'll direct you back to a parking area there.
The address is 15 Farmview Drive, in case you need the address.
Yeah.
Okay, so we hope by now you've all looked at the mandatory gear list. If you haven't, take a look now and make sure you have everything. For an 8-hour race in the summer, you don't need too much gear, but all the stuff that's on the mandatory gear list is in fact mandatory. We sometimes do gear checks. If you don't have a mandatory piece of gear, you will be penalized. So make sure you have that mandatory gear. And the mandatory gear doesn't mean that's all your gear. That's just the stuff we need you to have. Feel free to take optional gear. Most teams, if not all teams, will have some other stuff besides that. For example, food and water. So you can feel free to broaden your perspective beyond that, but definitely bring all that mandatory gear. And that's listed on our website.
Let's see, when you check in, we will give you many, but not all of your race maps. You'll receive some maps on course. We'll also give you some race instructions. So that will be a kind of an overview of everything that you'll be doing on Saturday. And then we'll also give you a passport. Passport is a piece of paper with little kind of boxes on it that you will be punching all of your checkpoints at to basically prove that you arrived there. Checkpoints, which is what you'll be looking for, checkpoint or CP, all of your checkpoints will be marked with an orange and white orienteering flag. So high vis, pretty kind of obvious to find once you're in the right spot. Of course, if it's not there, you might just not be at the right spot. So all of the points are marked on course with these flags. And each flag has a punch. This is kind of like a stapler. So when you get there, you'll take your passport, stick it into the punch, click it. It has a set of kind of pointy spikes that will mark a unique code that corresponds to each checkpoint. so that we know that you arrived there. All of the maps and race material are printed on waterproof paper, but still we really highly recommend having some sort of ability to further waterproof your maps. So for example, bringing a map bag or a Ziploc bag works pretty well too, because the paper is waterproof, but sometimes the ink, for example, can wear off if it gets wet. We did our best to add in via GPS any trails that you might encounter while you're out there. However, there will definitely be some kind of not well maintained or unmarked trails that you'll probably encounter on course. So just be aware that not every trail you encounter may be mapped. Also, just a reminder to be respectful of private property. So all of the checkpoints are hung on in locations that we have access to or permission to use. But if you find yourself coming up against private property signs and there's no checkpoint on the other side of it that you're looking for, chances are we did not intend you to go that way. So just be thoughtful about private property.
And one more note, if in the off chance you know you're in the right spot but can't find the checkpoint, we have put, I think they're blue and pink ribbons near each checkpoint location. And the pink ribbon has a checkpoint number on it and a clue word. So you can just record that if you see it. That's kind of our backup situation. But all our checkpoints are locked and they should all be there. We're gonna do our best to make sure that they don't get taken. They're all there, and you shouldn't have a problem, but that's just in case. My favorite discipline, paddling. We have some information on that. So paddling gear, we've had a lot of questions about what gear is going to be provided and what you need to bring. Our rental companies are providing all the boats and enough paddles and PFDs for all racers, PFDs being life jackets. So if you don't have a PFD or a paddle, don't worry, they'll be provided. For those of you who want to bring your own, if you prefer, you may do that. We'll be able to get those two at the race for the paddle section. So you can bring those, but we ask you that you bundle them really nicely together. We don't want any loose gear. We're not responsible if stuff gets lost. So make sure it's on your, the onus is on you to make sure your gear is well collected so we can have volunteers just picking it up and putting it in a truck and bringing it to and from the paddle location. So, and
label it with your team name or your own name.
Yep. So boats, when you arrive at the paddle section, so giveaway, you're not starting with the paddle. The boats are first come, first serve. There'll be plenty of boats for everyone. There's no rush to get there, but they're all sit-in sea kayaks. They're all really nice, high-end, fast boats. You're gonna love this paddle. It's a really cool section. But there's a range of styles. So if you're really into choice, get there
quickly,
fast, and then you get to choose between all the boats. The one rule we have is that teams of 4 can only have 1 tandem kayak. So we have a lot of singles, so we don't use all the tandems up with teams of 4. So teams of 4 need to be in 1 tandem at max and 2 singles or 4 singles. And the other thing is it's 1 seat per person. So you can't fit 3 people on a double or 2 people on a single or 1 person in a double. It needs to be 1 person per seat. So I guess 2 rules for the boats.
We should say too that there may or may not be an opportunity to swim in this race.
Depending on weather, but we're planning on an optional swim.
And PFDs will be required for that swim. So we will also have PFDs available for people who choose to do the swim.
The swim will be around 400 feet. So it's not that long of a swim, but it's not insignificant either. So for those of you with comfort in the water, it'll hopefully be a really refreshing swim. And it'll definitely be in flat water. We're gonna have a lifeguard on duty there and a safety boat. So it'll be very safe. But it is optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. It's going to be worth 1 checkpoint. So in order to clear the course, you do need to do the swim. But you'll have your life jackets, and again, the safety measures are going to be pretty strong. And if there's any danger of lightning or any other safety hazard, we'll just cancel that.
And you might sort of note from that, if there's anything in your bag that you want to keep dry, we recommend bringing some sort of a dry bag or some way to keep things waterproof. Some other just general kind of safety information. First off, I will say that probably the most common issue that people run into during the adventure race, especially during the summer months, is dehydration. So just make sure that you're carrying enough water to hydrate yourself. We will have water at all of the transition areas, but make sure you're carrying water. And also, you know, if you're drinking only water, sometimes that can still lead people to dehydration. We highly recommend bringing some kind of an electrolyte replacement. So that can be something like Gatorade, or we use Noon, which is tablets that you add to your water. Some people just take like salt tablets, different ways to make sure that you don't deplete yourself of electrolytes. Another important note, be very, very careful on any road sections for bike riding. Main roads tend to be, especially the back roads, tend to not have much of a shoulder, fewer cars, but definitely you know, not a lot of space necessarily. So we are asking everybody to just be super, super aware when you're on roads. Make sure that you are kind of noticing any cars coming ahead or behind you, and riding single file if you're riding with a team, just to make sure that we're being as safe as possible on roads. You must have a helmet on and your flashing red tail light for all bike sections. So make sure that you have that gear ready to go. Mandatory gear must be with you at all times. So make sure you have checked out that gear list, have what you need. Much of that gear is included for safety reasons. So even if it's a beautiful day, you still need to have your, you know, waterproof layer, things like that. Long pants might be a good choice for some segments of the race where you're going to be off trail. And that can be a way to just protect against thick vegetation or deter mosquitoes or ticks. Bug protection is recommended. Anyone who's done our race before knows that summer in Maine does mean that there will probably be some bugs around. And I think that's it for safety stuff.
Cool. I can go through the rules. Just really want to reiterate, be safe on the roads.
Yeah.
It is an adventure, but the scariest part is being on the road with cars. So ironically, even though we're going to throw you into some fun, crazy wilderness situations, the one I most worry about at night is being on the roads on your bikes. So please be really careful out there. So rules. The team that collects the most CPs in the shortest amount of time wins the race. Easy enough. In the event of a tie in the number of checkpoints, the team who comes in less time to the finish wins, or at least ranks above the team that takes more time. The finish is 4 p.m. and that is a hard cutoff. If you're not in there, you lose 1 checkpoint for every 5 minutes you're late, plus I think it's 1 checkpoint right off the bat, right?
Yep,
so
1 checkpoint for being at all over 4 o'clock, and then 4:05 is once you start to lose 1 checkpoint per 5 minutes.
So we're going to be including the rules in your course booklet. You'll have them with you at all times. If you're ever in any doubt, just check those rules. There are specific rules for each stage, and those will be in your course booklet. So study that carefully when you get it in the morning before the race. There are off-limits roads marked on your maps in bright highlighted pink. You can't miss them. You are not allowed on those roads for your own safety. Those are things like 295, 95, other big scary roads with not big shoulders. And off-limits roads, those are penalties or disqualifications, so don't do it. The sections that we have you doing must be completed in the order in which they're listed in the course booklet. Once you're finished with the stage, you cannot go back. And then CPs within each stage can be obtained in any order. So once you're on a stage, you can do it in whatever order you want, in terms of collecting the checkpoints. You don't have to do them in numerical order, but once you leave that stage, you cannot go back. You must get each checkpoint by the mode of transportation indicated in the racer instructions. So if it's a trek leg, you have to go on foot. If it's a bike leg, you have to go on bike. Paddle leg, you have to do paddle. You can't do a paddle leg on foot, bike leg on paddle. I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. You must remain between 100 feet. Sorry, all teammates must remain within 100 feet of each other. That's not 400 feet total. That's 100 feet for all teammates, and unless it's otherwise indicated in the race rules. So unless we specifically state for a certain section or point that you can do otherwise. But other than that, 100 feet. This includes boats and bikes. And we know with bikes, it can be a little harder. So we're a little more lenient with that, but especially boats and bikes or foot, if we see that, we're going to be really harsh on you guys, and potential penalties could ensue. If you need to withdraw from the race, you must speak to a race director either in person or via phone. Our phone numbers are on the course booklet. If you're having an emergency, call 911, then call us. If you have any kind of other serious situation that requires a conversation with us, we want you to call us. But if you're just lost and looking for a checkpoint, don't call us. There are very visible flags where the checkpoints are. They're locked up, and we have a backup system that Kate can explain to you. So call in emergencies, call if you need to withdraw, or speak to us in person at TA. And other than that, no cell phones, no GPS.
Right. Map and compass only.
That's right.
Yeah, I can mention, as Cliff said, so in addition to the flag, we have locked all of these into place. So hopefully we won't have any issues of missing flags, but in the off chance that something crazy happens and a flag goes missing, we have also put some pink and blue flagging or kind of like flagging tape at each checkpoint. On the pink piece of tape is written the checkpoint number, as well as a random word. So if the flag is gone, or if you think you're at a location where the flag should be, you can also look for the blue and pink tape and then just come back and report the word to us and let us know that the flag is missing. Let's see, otherwise, spectators, so certainly family, friends, fans are welcome to join for the weekend. And my recommendation for that would be, once the race starts, for them to just come in and check in with us at registration, and we can tell them, or at any time during the day, they can come to Pineland Farms and we can tell them where to find you. The best way to find teams is usually to send somebody to the transition areas on course. So we're happy to provide any spectators with that information. Just a reminder, or a kind of a note on that spectators are not allowed to provide any support to teams on course. So you can't have like your friends show up with your favorite subs or something like that halfway through. So the only support that you can receive on course is from yourselves and your teammates, race staff, or any kind of incidental support you encounter on the course. So for example, if you were to pass like a gas station or something like that. So that might be good to just let your fans know that they can't bring you anything to help out. And after the race, we have our post-race celebration. So please join us at 4 o'clock back at Pineland Farms. We'll have a cookout and buffet food. We'll have our local beer sponsor, Oxbow Brewing, who is going to be providing a beer for everybody. We'll also have non-alcoholic beverages for people as well. We'll have vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options there. And we really look forward to celebrating your accomplishment all together at 4 o'clock at Pineland Farms on Saturday.
And that's the fun part of adventure racing, is we all finish around the same time, so we can all party together. The only other thing is spectators, non-participants are not entitled to free food. Sure. We've got a very specific order that we've put in. There is a market there and a beer cart So they can definitely enjoy the celebration, but they have to buy their own food and beer, or other beverages.
Yeah.
So that's what we've got. That's it
Yeah.
for now. If there's anything else, you'll hear it before the race in our pre-race briefing Q&A at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. If you have any questions before then, we have that Q&A on Wednesday night. You can join us for at 8:30 p.m. That's going to be a Zoom call live. If you can't wait till then, or if it's after then, just shoot us an email at strongmachinear@gmail.com, or contact us through our Facebook page, and we'll make sure to get you a response as soon as we can. Can't wait for this. It's going to be a good one. We're excited.
See you guys on Saturday.